You're listening to the West Ham is Why We Drink podcast. Like hanging at the pub with your West Ham mates. On this episode, we focus on our prospective FA Cup run with our special West Ham guest in What Was That? Side-splitting posts and social shenanigans, and round the episode out by teasing Adam about his impending penalty shutout. Now let's join the crew of the podcast. Two West Ham lads hoping for a run on the FA Cup.
Hello everybody, welcome to the 50-somethingth episode of West Ham is Why We Drink. I'm Adam.
I'm Wayne.
I know it's the 52nd, but it just didn't go into my mind straight away.
Okay, who plays in the shirt number 52?
No one, right?
I've got no bloody clue, mate. It's like, what, we're going to keep doing this until we get to the hundreds.
After that FA Cup game, we have got a 75, Jamal Baptiste. So
it's true. Should we start off by just wishing our friend Rebecca that hope she's feeling a little bit better? We got some word that she wasn't feeling too fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, she's never feeling fantastic, but she's unfortunately...
I bet she feels beautiful.
She's positive with COVID, everyone. Don't worry.
Oh, my God. Did she give you permission to say that?
What? Say what?
That she's positive with COVID.
I mean, why wouldn't she?
Oh, no, it's the one where she's positive with herpes that she doesn't want you to talk about.
Oh, my gosh. She definitely said to not mention that. I would never. Bex XX, we love you. We love your little match reviews that you do after a game. So always check them out on YouTube. She always does a post-match. Hopefully she's feeling up to doing the one.
Does it for Hammer's Chat, doesn't she?
Later. She does. So
yeah.
We love you, Rebecca. Get well soon.
Yeah, you must be really frustrated about this game we just played, right? Did you figure out how to pronounce his name yet?
Which one? Benny Hanna?
No, the other one, the new kid.
Which? Oh yeah, I did actually. I've really figured it out. Nathan Trott.
No, not Nathan Trott, mate.
What?
The other one whose name
yeah. Jamal Baptiste.
No, not that one either, mate. You are just avoiding it like the son of a bitch
which
that you are, aren't you?
Which one do you mean?
I can't pronounce it, so why would I say anything about it?
Isn't he Dappy from N-Dubs?
Oh, yeah, I'll let you have it.
Oladapo Afalayan? Oh my!
It sounds like an Ethiopian meal you would eat, wouldn't it? I'll take a side of Obadapi Afalayan, please.
Pardon me. Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Oh no, it's Oladapu Afalayan. I'm just rubbish at these names, but I like the fact that we've got this Dapo and Meepo thing going on.
I love it. I love it. The El Meepo Depo Whippy Woppo.
Oh my gosh! I'm so excited about this episode.
Oh, me too, mate. Yeah, I can't wait. Should we warn them that it's going to be a little bit different this episode?
Yeah, it is. So what was that is going to dominate, but thanks to Wayne, he actually has got us he got hold of a very, very good guest that we're so pleased to have on the show. So, Wayne, why don't you do the introductions? You're the one that made it happen.
All right, let's start. What was that?
What was that?
And what was that's going to be something different today, isn't it, Adam?
Oh, it sure is. I'm really excited.
We should, of course, say, it's presented by ComeOnYourIrons.com, the app for all of your West Ham and football needs. But we've got a very, very special guest. And this is for real. We've actually got a guest, haven't we? Not just saying it and nobody turns up except for Rebecca.
Yeah, or your stupid Uncle Harry.
Yeah, Uncle Harry's a good guy. He's a good guy. But, a lot of you who follow football obviously follow Football London. And you may know that around about, I guess it was about a month ago, West Ham got a new correspondent in the name of Tom Clark, and who I may add has actually brought some great luck to West Ham because we haven't lost a bloody game since Sammy Casola's left. So welcome to the podcast, Tom.
Cheers, guys. It's lovely to be here. Nice to meet you all.
Well, it's good for you to be here. I know West Ham can be a bit daunting with some, shall I say, demanding fans. How did you feel about taking on the West Ham beat?
Oh, I was absolutely thrilled. I mean, to be covering a Premier League club is brilliant, and I mean, it's not the same without fans. And I know you say the West Ham fans can be demanding, but so far, I mean, it's the honeymoon period. It hasn't ended for me yet, so it's win-win-win. They've only conceded one goal, and seems to be somewhat of a good luck charm. I'm not claiming that. The honeymoon stage will end at some point, but so far it's been brilliant.
Well, we'll give you the plaudits for it. I mean, I've been saying Sam out for a long time, so I'm joking.
You've been saying Sam out. You've been saying everybody out. Moyes out.
I was talking about Allardyce.
Everybody, mate. So we've come to this at a good time, actually, because of course we've just had our FA Cup round where we've gone through to the next round. Should we just jump straight into it, lads?
Playing in the league or the FA Cup, we're staying alive. Feel your stomach kicking when West Ham is playing, but we're staying alive. Staying alive.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, of course, I should point out, Adam got the prediction correct on this one. He said,
I mean, and credit where credit's due as well, because it's not often that you call 4-0 and you get 4-0 correct.
You did it the week before.
Well, yeah, but I didn't get that one right. So,
and I said 3-0. But actually, I'm going to point out, if you want to go back and check the last podcast, that Adam did say, 3-0. I was going to downgrade mine to 3-0. So,
there's always a bloody excuse of you, Wayne. What did you think it was going to be, Tom? What was your prediction?
I can't claim that it was going to be 4-0, but I thought it was going to be a comfortable West Ham win. I mean, it's funny because Donny have been playing really well as well. So it was two teams who were going into it in great form, but a League One team via Premier League team, I think you're always, especially at home, you're always going to go with a Premier League team. But having gone to the game, been up in Stockport and saw the struggles there, I thought it might be a little bit closer than a 4-0 scoreline. So I was probably looking at a 1 or 2-0, and there was always going to be changes to the team as well. So 4-0, that's a great shout.
Yeah, I think it was a shocker to all of us that it came up like that. I mean, we're all, I think we're still all suffering in shock from the loss to Wimbledon in the cup run.
A year ago.
That was the end of the Pellegrini era, wasn't it? That was I remember that one well.
So we do a top shelf and a dregs of the barrel. So since you're our honoured guest today, would you like to kick us off with your top shelf for this particular match, mate?
Yeah, so there's a couple of people actually I think who deserve a mention there, and I thought Saeed Benrahma played really well, as did Andrei Yarmolenko. But I would have to say, for me, it was Ryan Fredericks. The way he got up and down that right wing. I mean, he was in the second minute, he was putting the cross in for Kufau's opener, and he was always an option there. And Yarmolenko was not just playing up front; he was dropping deep, he was dropping out wide. But there was just Fredericks for I think 84 minutes before he came off. He was just always on the overlap, and it was his shot, of course, that led to Afolayan, if I got his pronunciation right, Dapo, his first name, to his debut goal as well. And that came from Fredericks bombing up that wing. So for me, I think he was absolutely superb.
Adam, why don't you give us your top shelf? Who did you think? Would you agree with Tom on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because they all played really well. And it's hard to, I don't know, I think it's kind of hard to, it's been hard for me to pick one out. So I'm going
to... Because you can't pronounce any of the names, Adam.
I'm kind of glad that Tom said his name first, because I'm the worst.
Name is easier.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The other one was Meepo and Dapo. I mean, it sounds like a cartoon, really.
It's Odabiko, not Meepo on Dapo.
I'm actually going to give my top shelf, not because he was a standout performer, but to Mark Noble. Just because, you know what, bringing him back into the team, like, he isn't playing every week, all right? So you don't expect the sharpness, but he just makes sure that everyone's doing their job. He's always talking. He's always wanting the ball. You know, he'll show for the ball every single time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. He played really well yesterday, and there was, in the empty stadium, it's really, really strange. But the one thing that you do get from it is you can hear the players. You can hear them really well. And it echoes around that massive London stadium. And from minute one to the end, he was he was on at people. I did realise that he doesn't fully understand the offside law. That's one thing I learned from yesterday's game. But it's the waiting for the linesman or the assistant referee to put the flag up until the striker's touchable. Every time that happened, he was screaming at the linesman. It's like, why were you not calling it when, because he was chasing back the extra 20 yards to, then the guy touches the ball and the referee gives it offside. And he was getting very annoyed by that each time. And each time you could hear the linesman tell us like, Mark, that's the rule. But it was, but he was absolutely bossing it in that midfield yesterday. He was really good.
You know what? I want to sidestep this a little bit because that offside rule where they're given the flag later, I don't like it. How do you feel about that? I just feel that, it's a possibility that, somebody may go in for a dodgy tackle and it could hurt someone.
Yeah, I had this conversation with friends last night, actually. We just had a beer and had a Zoom catch up, and we were talking about that and saying that we can understand why they do it, because if the flag goes up and it's wrong and you've stopped a striker going through one-on-one with the keeper and putting it in the back of the net, you can't recreate that situation. Whereas if you let the play go, and this is only obviously because of VAR, and if you let the play go, he scores, then you find out that the liner's flag was wrong, then the goal can still stand. But someone could go through and get absolutely smashed by a bad tackle, but because if the flag then goes up, that doesn't count. And it is all a bit strange, but it's just, it all comes down to VAR, whether you want VAR in or not. And if you do have it, you have to play that. But yeah, it could have a dangerous significance from it as well at some point.
But like you said as well, it's one of those like, well, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. One thing that is very apparent to me, and I think it should be to most football fans, is that VAR is a very flawed system. The point of VAR is spot on, which is to make football consistently fair. Unfortunately, the application of VAR hasn't actually resulted in that goal. We haven't got a fair game. We've still got, and I keep harping on about this every other week because it's really the thing that's pissed me off the most about this season. But I am still livid that Manchester United were allowed to score that first goal. I mean, The ball quite clearly curved out of play. And I'm like, VAR, it needs to be, in my opinion, what they need to just do, like they do in the majority of sports, is they give each manager 3 VAR checks. And then it happens after an event. If they get it correct, well, then they keep their challenge. If they get it wrong, well, then they lose it.
Like American football.
I don't know. I rant on this a lot, so I apologise.
I think we all rant on it.
I kind of agree with you. I think it's the application rather than having it. I mean, I was a big... Before it came in, I thought it would be a good thing. But the application has been awful, and in its current guise, I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I don't like it for one main reason, and that is the fact that Ben Rama is such a slight character. I get the feeling somebody's going to go in for a dodgy tackle on him and we're going to lose him. And he's my top shelf. Well,
I think you just do this to to stick it to me, but
it partially is to stick it to you, Adam, because I know that you're not 100% sold on him. I just thought he did a phenomenal job out there on the day. I think he between him and Mark Noble, actually, it was a split between the two for me. But you went Noble, so I figured I'd go Ben Rama. I just thought he was bossing it out there. I really did. I thought he was controlling a lot of the pace on the attack. I feel really bad that the lad hasn't got a goal yet. I mean, it's got to be incredibly frustrating. And you can see the look on his face. Like even when what's his name? Alfie Garnett, Alpha Lion.
Alpha Lion.
Alpha Lion. Even when he scored, you could see he was happy for him, but he was like, "Oh bloody hell! This kid can get a goal, but I can't get one."
I actually looked into Ben Rama's stats, and it's 700 minutes and 25 shots he's had for West Ham. He did score for Brentford this season, and I have got such a soft spot for Ben Rama because I covered Brentford last season, and
wow!
It was really lucky to be able to get the last season at Griffin Park, and they are such a good team to watch. And I was gutted that they didn't get promoted and Fulham did, because they would have added so much more to the Premier League than Fulham did. Mm-hmm. But then Ben Rama wouldn't be at West Ham. They would have been able to keep him. And you could tell watching him last season, it's like no matter what happens, he will be a Premier League player next season. Whether it's for Brentford or whether it's for somebody else, I don't know. And just because of interest, because of this link I've got with Brentford from last year, I I still watch some of their games when I can now, and Ivan Toney is the same. He will be a Premier League player next year for Brentford or for somebody else. I mean, if West Ham could pull that signing off, that would be amazing. Pure speculation, not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. He's not going anywhere in January. It's the same thing. Ben Rama is such a good footballer, and once he gets that goal, he will be very, very settled. And then the assistant, Alan Irvine, gave the press conference and the interviews last night, and he was asked about Ben Rama, and he said, he played brilliantly, and they're desperate for him to get a goal, and he's desperate to get a goal as well. But he is still bringing assists. I mean, it was his pass for Yarmolenko. It was a lovely little dink, that finish as well. It was his
really was.
And it was the same against West Brom. It was his pass that Bowen then kept alive, and then Fornals put the cross in and Antonio scored. But I think the West Brom game, or it might have been, no, that's probably the Burnley game. So they're coming so many games at the minute. That was the Burnley game, but it was still Ben Rama who broke the line. And there's not many players in the squad who can do that. I love him. I absolutely love him.
People say he's a bit of a showboat, but he's got some talent, so showboat it, mate.
Yeah, and I've got no problem with that, and it's interesting, and I'm really glad that you're, because I didn't know that you covered Brentford last season, but because I haven't seen much of Ben Rama, so tell me what tell me what do you think we should expect to see from Ben Rama for the rest of this season?
I think he will link up really well with Antonio, because Ben Rama can spot a pass, but he can see it, but then he can play the pass as well. There's some players who see the pass and then they can't execute it, or they can play a really easy pass, but they can't see the opening from 50 yards across the pitch. He sees things, and him and Antonio, I think the more they play together, the better link up they'll have, because Ben Rama starts wide, and he started off the left yesterday, but he's so often in the middle of the pitch. He's given this license, which is quite un-Moyesian, if that's a word. And I think Moyes can see that he's got a player there, because he lets him have that little bit of license to roam, because you've got the likes of Fornals and Bowen who have got engines on them and get back and forward. And Ben Rama's not, you don't really want him defending, to be honest, because he's not going to put much of a tackle in, and he likes to play the dangerous pass, so he might give possession away. So if he's going to give possession away, you do that as far away from your goal as possible. And he's a player. He is a player.
It's a payoff, isn't it? I mean, that's the one thing is you pay for having that sort of flair that he's got, and you know that he's going to give away the occasional pass that may come back and bite us in the butt sometimes. But speaking of biting us in the butt, who was your dregs of the barrel, mate?
This is a really hard one, actually, because it was such a good performance. But I think, I mean, you can't give it to the goalkeeper who's had nothing to do. That's not fair. So I think it would have to go to Issa Diop yesterday, and he only did a couple of things wrong for me, but it was one quite early on, and it was after the Fornals goal that came so early. But he miscontrolled and then played a poor pass, and nothing came of it. But Noble was on at him like an absolute shot, really, really vocal with him. But it was so much like looking at a dad teach his kid, because he was showing him how he should have controlled the ball, like pointing to what part of the inside of his foot that he should have used. Issa Diop is a good footballer. He can control a ball. It was just but I think it was more that maybe 10 minutes in and he hadn't quite switched on, got up the pace, which is a bit understandable when you haven't played for weeks. And Noble was on at him, and then, but in general, he had a decent enough game. So it feels a bit harsh to pick on him for a couple of mistakes. But if we have to pick one out, then it would be Diop for me.
It is a tough one, because I mean they all played pretty bloody marvellous. And I really struggled with this one. And I think the reason why I came up with my dregs is my like of Ben Rama. And that is like very late in the match, Yarmolenko just was a little bit too greedy for my liking, and went for a shot on goal where he had an open pass to Ben Rama. And I think Ben Rama would have got his first goal that match.
I'm going to be even more controversial. And I'm going to give it to Fabianski for flipping getting hurt. Like, it's so frustrating. I know it's not his fault.
After
but
Tom says don't blame the goalkeeper, Adam goes, sticks his foot right in there. Square to the nutsack.
But I'm not saying it's because he had nothing to do. I'm only because, I mean, like Tom said, and it's almost like, all right, should we really be giving anyone the dregs with 1-4-0? I mean, it's not like anyone really deserves it, but it's gutting to lose Fabianski to injury again. And so if not giving it to him, then you got to give it to David Moyes, because if he's not back to 100%, why are we starting him? He's just had 2 matches out injured. I know we've got a problem with goalkeepers, but just start Trott.
I'm not sure you're entirely correct with him getting an injury there, though. As far as I know, he's fit to play, and it was just to give Trott his debut.
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, Adam's proven wrong. I love that. I'm going to ring a bell in the post production for this one.
Okay, well, we'll find out tomorrow when we speak to David Moyes. But I'm almost certain it was. There was no mention of it after the game in the press conferences, and I'm almost certain it was just to give the youngster his debut.
You know what? There we go. Well, Tom, I'm so glad that you're here to give us this sort of insight, because, well, let's be honest. Sorry, Tom, how old are you?
36.
Oh, me too.
You mean I'm the old age pensioner of this group again? 57.
Well, yes, Wayne, you were an old man. That's why you.
Oh yes.
Oh God. But in my 36 years, I can't remember ever seeing a goalkeeper subbed on in a competitive match that wasn't a change for an injury.
I'm pretty sure Mourinho did it a couple of weeks ago in the Europa League, but it's the Europa League and Spurs had already gone through, and Hart was in goal, and then I have no idea who the kid was, but he did the same thing. He gave a kid 10 minutes at the end. It almost never happens, and it's like it's the kind of what international managers do in friendlies to get
exactly
Pope and Dean Henderson to get them some minutes, because they travel around the world with England and never do anything. But it doesn't happen very often.
Fair play then.
Fabianski was only playing because Randolph picked up a knock in the. I don't think it wasn't the warm up, because he wasn't out on the pitch, but he was due to play until yesterday morning, and whether he worked on something or he did something in the morning, or it was from Friday and carried over, but he was down to play, and then that was a very, very late change.
Let's go on. We're talking about the FA Cup. So as you mentioned in this game, today, Manchester United obviously beat Liverpool 3-2, which means we're going to be going to Old Trafford. So Tom, I've got 2 questions for you on this. If Wayne allows me to ask him.
I give you permission, Mr. Frankel.
And my questions are this. First of all, today I was shocked to see the starting lineups that both teams picked. Do you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will put out just a strong team against us in the Cup? And then a follow-up question to that, do you think we have a chance?
So I'll take them in chronological order. And yeah, I think he will put the same, just a stronger team. I think if it had been Liverpool, it might be different, because the game would have been sandwiched between 2 huge games and a Champions League game coming up for Liverpool as well.
That's why I wanted Liverpool.
And that would have been a reason for that, and Liverpool's current form as well. So yes, I do think Solskjaer will go big, because he's not won anything as a manager. He keeps losing in semi-finals, doesn't he? They lost in the League Cup semi-final to City just last month as well. So I think he's lost 3 or 4 semi-finals in a row. So I think he's going to want a trophy. And the league, it's easier. You've got to win a lot less games to win a cup than you do a league. So yeah, I think he will go full strength. But to answer the second part of the question, I do think West Ham have got a chance. Man United are top of the league, which still seems very bizarre. And
it does.
Because they don't seem that good, but they're top of the league, but they're not unbeatable. They're really not. So I think West Ham have got a good chance. There's a few games between now and then. I think they haven't released the dates, but it's a February midweek. It might be the 9th or 10th.
It's around the 10th, yeah.
I think it's stretched over 3 days. So I think maybe 9, 10, 11. It's one of those evenings. So there's a couple of weeks between those. I think West Ham have got 3 league games, maybe 4 league games before then. Yeah, it's Palace, Palace, Liverpool, Villa, Fulham. So 4 games, and Man United will have the same. So it's kind of hard to make a prediction, because if Antonio picks up an injury, touch wood, he does, then the prediction would be very different for me, and of course the transfer window is still open, so there could be some movement there. But right now, I would say, why not go there? And Moyes wants this cup as well, so West Ham will play a full strength team for that. And I'm not going to say it's only Fulham, but the games before and after that are Fulham and Sheffield United. Which, if you're picking 2 games to play either side of a massive cup game, those 2 teams would be pretty much pretty much your first choice pick.
It's a nice gift.
I think West Ham go full strength in the cup, and if you do need to rotate a couple of players, you do that in the Fulham game and the Sheffield United game.
If you're looking at this, and obviously we've got a large American fan base, and if you're saying to them, this is the player hookup here that you need to look at, who against who do you think are going to be the pivotal attackers and defenders on both teams that we really should be looking for in this Man U match? I
think Dawson and Ogbonna have now cemented themselves as West Ham's first choice centre backs, and they've had reasonable matchups in recent weeks because they're both big, strong, really good in the air. So playing against Wood and Barnes in the Burnley game, that kind of suits them. I think they might struggle if United go with Greenwood and Rashford. For running out, they're so good. I mean, Rashford's a lovely footballer and obviously a top bloke as well, but they're so fast, and that I think that might cause the centre backs an issue. So that would force Kufal and especially Creswell to play much more defensive than usual. Creswell won't be able to be bombing up like he was. Not in this game, but the West Brom game. His position was quite high up the pitch, where he obviously is so dangerous with his crosses. And I think you might have to rein that in a bit with someone like Rashford or Greenwood running in behind you. But Antonio he's got the run of Maguire in the same kind of thing. He's quick. He can get in behind them. So it's yin and yang, isn't it? But I do think with the likes of Bowen's energy, he will be really important helping out Kufal with Greenwood, or on Man United's left wing it'd probably be Rashford, and I think that will be a big battle there, and Bowen would have to put in a defensive shift in that game.
I agree 100% with you. If you had to lay your cards down and say who's going to win this, what would your prediction be, mate?
I think it could go to extra time and penalties. No replays, I think, and I don't think Man United would want that. I think they'll want to get it wrapped up in 90 minutes, but I think West Ham can frustrate them. They can play a very solid back four with two, and it'll be Rice and Souček. It won't be Noble. He's playing cup games, but he won't start against Man United.
Definitely.
Right.
And I think with a really solid back six, I could see West Ham nicking it or definitely taking it all the way, and then it's not really a lottery of a penalty shootout because you practice and the keepers do the study, but it's much more of a lottery than 120 minutes of football. So yeah, I'm going to go West Ham to sneak it on penalties.
It's interesting you say that, because I just read the article that you wrote for Football London regarding the fact that we haven't had a penalty in, was it 708 minutes of football or something?
So West Ham are the only team not to have a penalty in the Premier League this year. The article was pretty much spot on, although when I tweeted it out, I wrote it, I misquoted it, and I'd said they hadn't had a penalty for a year, because it was a year to the day since Mark Noble had last scored a penalty. But I was very quickly corrected by a lot of West Ham fans to say that Antonio, of course, scored at Old Trafford in June after lockdown, and Yarmolenko scored one in the League Cup. But I'm not counting the League Cup. But yeah, no, they had a penalty. But yeah, West Ham, the only team not to have had a penalty all season. Leicester have had 10 in that time, and it was just like, blimey, and Man United have had a fair few as well, obviously. So it was, it's just one of those quirks, I think. I mean, a few people were questioning why it was, and I mean, as fans do, they blame the referees, and I'm not saying anything like that. I don't think there's a conspiracy that West Ham don't get penalties. I think it's just...
I'll say it. There is a conspiracy, and it is the referee's fault.
I think it's just one of those things, and it's just a bit of a quirk, and it probably will end in West Ham will probably end up getting 2 or 3 in the space of a month type of thing. It's not going to even itself out. You're not going to catch Leicester up, that's for sure. But it is a bit strange to have been halfway through the season and not had a single one. It's one of those things that you shouldn't have to, but you have to go down to get the penalty. And I'm not one who's going to say, well, they should go down. They got to. I mean, you don't want to encourage players to go down if they don't have to. But then
exactly,
you can see the argument for that you've got to do it.
So, what's your prediction for the game, Wayne?
You know what? I'm going 1-0 to us. I mean, I'm thinking with my heart. I think it's going to be. I agree with Tom in the fact that if we're going to do it, we need to be patient and we need to try and grind out a win out of this. So I'm going 1-0.
Yeah, I think 2-1 to us after extra time. I think it will go to extra time as well. I really do.
On a very selfish point, I really hope it doesn't go to extra time because evening kickoffs make for very late finishes for us.
Good point.
So let's hope that we whoop them 4-0.
Yeah. Do you have it sewn up at half time? Then we can get all our match reports and everything done and dusted, and then just chill for the second half before the managers come out and do the interview. That's what we like.
Cool. You can tell you haven't been following West Ham long, right?
So do you drive up there? Is that how you drive around to every game?
Yeah. So every home game, yes, and away games, if it's not London teams, actually, because with the COVID restrictions, we're only allowed one reporter per company. So on Tuesday, I won't be at Crystal Palace because our Crystal Palace reporter, Joe Doyle, will cover that. So the home reporter gets precedence. So away games outside of London, we drive up on the... I mean, this is all because of COVID. I think in normal times we would take the train up and then you can get a bit of work done. It's also, you're not... I mean, it's a 4 or 5 hour drive type of thing, and it's a bit nice to sit on a train and chill and have maybe a nap or get a little bit of work. If definitely don't have a beer. If you're driving, obviously it's a bit more. So, but for during COVID times, then we're driving because it's just safer. And you drive up, you check into a hotel, just Premier Inn, Holiday Inn, that kind of thing. Go over to the stadium, do the game, come back. You get some work done in the stadium, but then after about an hour and a half after kickoff, they want you out there, and it's maybe a little bit earlier on an evening game because the stewards want to go home, the car park attendants want to go home. So go back to the hotel, get a couple of hours work done, do a little bit the next morning, and then head back home. So match days are why you do the job. They are the best thing about it, but they are long days. So like I could just run you through yesterday if you want.
Please do.
The home game at London Stadium. So I'm based in Essex, so it's only about a 45-minute drive to me to the stadium. So what I do on Fridays, we do the pre-match press conference, and then we put out the transcript, and then you choose the best line from that and write 400 or 500 words on that. So you write a few things on the Friday afternoon and set them to go out live on the Saturday morning. And then before I leave home, I do the social media for those kind of things, just put a few things out and start off the live blog with just, the good morning, welcome to the coverage, put some links to articles and have them timed. So they ping up on the website while I'm driving up there. So I leave home about midday for a 3 o'clock kickoff, get to the stadium for around about 1, park up. It takes a little while to get in the stadium now. You have to park, you have to go through security and COVID. Don't get a COVID test, but you get your temperature checked. You have to fill out a questionnaire. That takes a while. Head on up to the press box. Get some team news, get a cup of coffee, a cup of Bovril, something like that. So it's lovely in the stadium for media wise. It's you've got really good Wi-Fi. You've got a nice desk. You got a plug socket. They give you a little drink, a couple of biscuits, that kind of stuff set up. And then when the team news drops, that goes out an hour before kickoff. So you kind of pre-plan who you think is going to be in the team. So I will have a skeleton article written about the team news with who I think is going to make it. So, for instance, I have my opening 2 or 3 paragraphs ready, saying David Moyes had made this number of changes, and then just put in it was 7 changes. Then I had 2 sentences ready to go. One was Lucas Fabianski was playing, the other one was Darren Randolph is playing, and then you just delete which one is not appropriate. And then if there's something really interesting, so if Mikel Antonio had been playing on Saturday, that would have been the line you lead off, because it would have been, why is he playing Antonio in the FA Cup? But he didn't. So the line to lead off was, okay, this is an interesting attacking quartet with Yarmolenko playing up front, something he hasn't really done for West Ham before. So that was where you go. And then that's kind of it before kickoff. You drop a couple of comments in the blog, and then cover the game live with the blog and the Twitter and all of that. I like to do a little a little minute video before the game, halftime, and after the game, just because it's when you're writing things, you forget about them. When you just, if I record something at halftime, if I don't do that, I might forget about it at full time. So it's nice to just write, right, these are my impressions, get them out. And then at the end of the game, player ratings you do during the second half. So probably start them on about the 70-minute mark, because you'll be able to get the subs, so you can get them done and dusted. You get a really good idea of how someone's playing in the first 70 minutes, so you can get some of that done. And then if something changes, if the goalkeeper throws one in and you've given him an 8 out of 10, you can just, all right, delete that change because it's a couple of sentences. So they should be ready to go on the final whistle, or 5-10 minutes after the final whistle, and then you get all that stuff sorted. By the time you finish that, the manager comes out. He does his TV interviews on the side of the pitch now, which is really useful because it means we can see him, so we know when he's finished. Like, oh, he's going to be with us in a couple of minutes, because the media centre is just inside the tunnel. So as soon as you see him finishing, we're ready to go with our post-match questions. But the post-match press conference is never anywhere near as long as the pre-match stuff, because the pre-match, you might be talking about injuries and transfers and team news and COVID stuff, whereas post-match, it's literally what happened in the game and that. And then once you're done with that, you type up that, choose a line from what he said to do a piece. So, for instance, my piece at the final whistle last night, which in the end went up this morning, was about Said Benrahma's lack of goals, because Alan Irvine spoke about that and how it was when he says, when you hear words like desperate, that's when you're like, oh, that's a key word. That's a word. There's an article there. Like it's not often a manager or an assistant manager talks about a player being desperate to do something. And then when I got home last night, because Sunday is often my day off, I would rather do it on Saturday night and have it go out Sunday morning than have to get up Sunday morning and work. So last night I wrote my talking points from the game, which was the academy players, Mark Noble, Yarmolenko playing up top, but maybe being an option going forward, and David Moyes getting a new contract. They were my talking points from yesterday. So I wrote them up, and by the time you've proofread and put all the pictures in the social media, it's about 10:30. So it's quite a long day. Probably, I think the blog goes live 4 hours before kickoff. So I started at 11 and finished at 10:30.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a long day, mate. That really is. After a long day like that, you must be wanting to murder a pint.
Oh, absolutely.
What's your favourite beverage?
I've got a whiskey with me now, actually, because as I said to you guys beforehand, actually, my mum's partner is Scottish and tomorrow is Burns night, but everyone's working tomorrow. So we had haggis and whiskey tonight, which was lovely. I am partial to a whiskey. I like a Guinness. And then last night after I finished, I stuck Match of the Day on and had a couple of Hobgoblins, which were, nice. Dark beer.
I wanted to ask you one thing on that, because first of all, thank you so much, Tom, because, for me as a football fan, I've never known like a day in the life, so I'm sure our listeners will really enjoy hearing that as well. One thing I want to ask you on it that has always it's always puzzled me. How do you come up with a rating out of 10 for the players? Like, what is it for you that defines a 6
Adam wants to copy it.
No, I'm just, because the number of times every football fan in the country has looked at a football rating and turned around to their mate and said, there's no way they watched this game.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny because, I read, like, as I say, I often have Sunday off, and I'm a football obsessive, so it's my job. But then I watched back-to-back 3 FA Cup matches today, and the first thing this morning, I woke up this morning, watched the Test match, then read the Sunday newspapers, and I read somebody else's match report about the West Ham game. It's like, why am I reading this? I was there. I wrote my own one. I wanted to see what they had to say, and I looked at their player ratings and had a look at mine, and they're reasonably similar, but I thought Benrahma had a good game, and I can't remember who it was. It was in the Sunday Times. It was one of the female correspondents, and my mind's gone. I can't remember who it was, but she gave Benrahma a 6 and I gave him an 8. And I'm not sure, maybe I went too high, maybe she went too low, maybe a 7 would
She went too low.
Fair. But I thought she went too low for sure with that. And then, so the way I do it, and I think everybody has their own slight ways, is mine's actually come about from playing games like football and Championship Manager for 30 years, from I think I started playing them when I was about 8 or 9. And you kind of think 6 is an average score. So for me, everyone starts on a 6. And if they do something well, then I'll have a note down on a old-fashioned paper and pen and just put like a little mark on there that they've done something well, or like a plus sign or a minus sign if they've done something badly. And then a lot of it is gut feel as well. You can look at somebody, and when you're live, and of course you boys know this, when you go to games, you see more of the pitch than you do when you watch it on TV. And so when I do the ratings on Tuesday, when I'm not at the Palace game, they might be different to had I been in the stadium, because you only see what the TV camera shows you. Whereas yesterday, I saw Mark Noble doing tons of stuff off camera that probably made me think, okay, he's had more of an influence on this than his actual like physical play. Like he has an influence, and that's why he was one of my big talking points was his mentorship of the young players, and for those young kids to come on, and they've made their debut with a club legend, and they played for West Ham for 15 years, and Mark Noble, by the time they retire, Mark Noble will be in his 50s, and it'll be one of those weird things. Be like, oh, you remember when he made his debut? Mark Noble was still playing for West Ham then. I think it's more than just what they do, but it really is subjective. I mean, so for instance, I gave Fabianski a 6 yesterday because he didn't do anything. Like he didn't do anything to deserve a 7, but he didn't do anything wrong to deserve a 5, because I think a 5 is a harsh score. So it's like. Yeah. His was the easiest one, and you just give him a 6 because, well, he can take a goal kick,
His hair was looking particularly on point.
Exactly, he came off and he high-fived Trot really well. That was a really good high five.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, gosh. Well, listen, Tom, it's been fantastic. You've taken the time out of your Sunday to do this for us. We really, really do appreciate it. And I know that our listeners are going to absolutely love this, all 2 of them.
I loved it. I was just say I'm a football obsessive, so this just feels like having a drink and having a chat with mates rather than work or anything. It's sitting down and writing stuff, and the writing is fun. It's the things around it. It's the doing the social media, and it's the cropping of the pictures and the choosing the right pictures and stuff. That's the chore for me. The writing and the talking about it, that's fun. It's an absolute privilege to get to go to it, and especially in these times when there's nobody in the stadium, to get to be in the stadium to watch football is such a privilege, and it's not something that I don't think I'll ever take for granted.
Let's see if you have the same feelings when everybody's back in the stadium and they recognise you and they're like, "Oi, Tom, what you wrote last week was a right load of old bollocks."
Yeah, well, as I say, it's the honeymoon period. They can do no wrong while they're winning at the minute.
True.
It's brilliant.
Well, as Wayne said, we really appreciate you coming on. Maybe you'll be able to take us through our FA Cup journey. Who knows? Maybe after the United game, we'll have you back.
Absolutely love to, lads. If they can make an FA Cup final in my first season covering them, that would be unreal.
It would be brilliant. You've definitely got an open invitation to come back whenever you want to. And
just tell our listeners as well how they can, on social media, like what your handle is, and let them know what would be the best way for them to connect with you.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I'm at _Thomas J. Clark, which is there's just a million Tom Clarks in the world, so I had to go full name with middle initial and everything. But the website,
and no E on the end.
No E on the end. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good luck finding me. So, but yeah, no. With the website is football.london, and we've got all the London teams. But if you want to ignore the rest of them, it's football.london/West Ham. Will get you straight to us, and we have a West Ham Twitter as well, which is probably much easier, and it's at West Ham _FL. So yeah, if you want to go on there, give us a like, and I like the feedback, constructive or non-constructive. If you don't agree with my player ratings, let me know. I'm more than happy to have a bit of banter and have a chat about it.
Well, it's been great having you on, Tom, and we'll put all of those details in our show notes, so anyone that's listening can go to our show notes page and they can have a look and reach out to you. Congratulations on the new position at Football London, and keep on bringing that luck that you're bringing us. Tom, thanks so much for coming on, mate. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, guys. Anytime.
Once again, thank you to Tom Clark for being a phenomenal guest. I mean, unbelievable that he took the time out of his busy schedule. And boy, blimey, they have a busy schedule, don't they?
Yeah, so good. Really interesting as well. Like, I mean, usually it's just me and you giving our input. And so, like, I mean, it's not very good.
By the way, my Uncle Harry wants to come on.
Uncle Harry can go and F himself. He is not coming on the goddamn episode. I mean, I am sick and tired of that senile old fool.
He's got nothing. The only thing he's got to keep himself company is his colostomy bag.
He is not coming on the show today. Okay, absolutely not.
Let me text him and tell him that we're having some technical difficulties.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to start us off with... Oh, no, I'm not, because we didn't do our predictions for the game yet.
Oh, gosh, we didn't get a chance to do that, did we? So what do you reckon then for Crystal Palace?
I think we're going to win 2-1.
I was going to say 2-1.
Oh, how convenient. Well, you can say 2-1 as well if you like.
No, I'm going to say 2-0.
And I think a bike is going to happen as well. I mean, because we always score some spectaculars against Palace. I mean, Alaire's bicycle kick, Andy Carroll's bicycle kick.
Yeah. But I hope Benny Harner gets one. I really do.
Yeah, I'd like him to get a goal.
So are you warming to Ben Rama now?
I mean, my opinion's still the same. I don't know if he's got what it takes to step up. And as we just heard, obviously, Tom with his, he watched him play a lot. So, I mean, I hope he's right. And like I said from the beginning, I hope he does. Like, I want him to do well.
I do too. Well, you know what? We should really get on the social shenanigans then, shouldn't we? Because that's really is the only segment we've got, and then we're closing.
Yeah, let's do this.
No, now it's time for
social shenanigans.
Presented by Hammer's Polls.
And a big thanks to all our social media followers. Find the links on www.whatdabiswhybydrink.podbean.com.
Check out Hammer's Polls as well. www.hammerspolls.com, at Hammer's Polls on Twitter. And also, I just want to apologise as well to about 5,000 West Ham fans because
768.
Wayne has been a little bit I don't know,
obsessive compulsive.
Zealot is what I was going to use. And he's invited every single person that has Facebook and West Ham.
They're all my friends, mate. They're all my friends. I'm a very popular chap.
It's definitely not true.
I was bored yesterday, so I just figured I'd invite everybody. But I'll tell you, we've got some great comments on the Facebook group.
We have, but before we get there, I just also want to tell people this. So Wayne messaged me, have you seen all of the new followers we've got on Facebook? Obviously, I can see that we've only got them because he's sent out 27,000 invitations. So
it's only 26.5. I don't think it's a spam when it's just an invite.
No, it's not. I mean, and we do appreciate you checking us out. So thank you.
I've had some really nice personal messages back from people as well for inviting them. I tell you, there's some really good people in the West Ham community.
I agree. And you're there as well, unfortunately. But,
Well, you're there as well. But, we have to take the pluses with the minuses, mate. You know that. So I've got one tweet that I wanted to read out. You ready for this?
Yep, go for it.
And it's from at COY Irons, not COYirons.com. It's from actually COY Irons. And he says this. He goes, just don't know what to say when my son's sobbing his little eyes out crying. Dad, when will West Ham ever win a penalty? He's 32 for sake.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Appropriate considering that Tom actually was chatting about the infrequent penalty kicks that we've had this season.
That's good. That's almost. Well, I've got to shout out one of our new Facebook followers, Jamie Alafounder, because obviously I predicted 4-0. So the guy obviously doesn't think I know my stuff because he decided to make a very bold claim that if we score more than 3 goals, I'm going to dye my beard claret and blue. So that's what he said before the game. Hopefully now he knows that Mystic Adam here knows his stuff. But he then later on, because I said to him, I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures of this. He then said, I need to stop making these bets. I've already got 2 tattoos because of them, and they're both bad. One of them says all Daves are dicks, and the other is a Marge Simpson tampon. So yeah, me and Bets are bad. But as soon as we get that picture, we will be putting it on our social media. So
without a doubt that goes in there. So that's he's one of the 26,500 people that I invited.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. I was chatting online with Chris Ross. You know Chris Ross, the East End poet?
Oh no, I know Danny Fenn.
He's the Boleyn poet.
Oh, okay.
And Chris Ross, he plays music and everything. And I tell you, he did a beautiful rendition of Bubbles this last week, which was.
Did he do my version?
No, he didn't. But he did it on a homemade ukulele. So go check out his Twitter feed. It's at the East End Poet. But I tell you, he gave us permission to play this poem that he wrote about the FA Cup. Do you want me to play it in here so you can at least hear it, mate?
No, I can't be bothered. I'll listen to it when I hear the episode.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine if you left that in.
I know.
Make me sound like a right arsehole. No, I mean, I do want to hear it.
You know that.
I do want to hear it.
And this is called the FA Cup Come on You Irons. Goes like this. Where did West Ham finish in the league in 64? I suppose I could just look it up, but really I ain't that sure. And does it really matter who went down and who came up? I'll tell you one thing I do know though, we won the FA Cup. The same applies to 75 and also 1980, when I think we were in the old second division, but I ain't checked that lately. Memories fade and slip off the page and some are just covered up. But it don't get much better than Trev's stooping header and coming back home with a cup. Now I know the league's important and that's where the money lies, and everyone hopes their team can finish somewhere in the top 5. And as a supporter, I know that I order, but nothing can make my heart pound like a last-minute goal against Preston or Hull that puts us through to the next round. So, lofty dreams of European glory casually cast aside, the FA Cup is better than some magic carpet ride. Wembley in the sunshine on Cup final day in May, banners and flags and mums and dads and a proper old family day. And now we have a manager who appears to want it too. So make some noise for David Moyes and hope that we get through. 16 teams still in it, so I ain't getting carried away. But I'd love to be at Wembley on that sunny day in May. Come on, you Irons!
It's nice when I listen to the episode to get something new. Like your song, once again, which was very good. It did go on for a minute and a half longer than it needed to go on.
Since we're not talking about anything to do with social media, I think we should end this segment?
Probably, but I will just say we're currently at this time of recording the episode. Oh my word. I was about to say we're at 431 members of our Facebook group, but it went up to 432 just as I was about to say it. So another one of those 27,000 just accepted your invite.
Take a bow, Mr. McMullen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I tell you, I'm really looking forward to chatting with all these people because they just seem like a good bunch of people that have decided to interact with us.
It's nice to have people on here, and we appreciate you checking it out. And
you really do.
And probably we'll try on Tuesday, depending on how it goes, to maybe do another little live thing after the game.
Yeah, let's do a podcast short after the match.
I'm not going to say for certain, just in case it doesn't happen. I don't like to make empty promises, but we'll give it a go.
Presented by Hammers Poles.
It seems really short considering what was that takes the episode, but it's worth it.
Yeah, a big thank you to Football London West Ham correspondent Tom Clark for being an incredible guest. We really appreciate it, Tom. Thanks to our partners, Hammers Polls, ComeOnYourIrons.com and American Hammers Television.
And there's I don't know when this will come out, but Hammers Shots is wrapping up. We're in the playoffs.
You've got your grudge match, haven't you, coming up?
Yeah, so that tosser, Charlie Walsh, who he does watch-alongs. If you're the sort of person that prefers to, instead of watching the match, watch someone watching a match, then please watch Charlie watching a match.
I remember the first time I saw one of those. I think it was JP did it once, and I was like, I can't watch this unless I'm taking a piss out.
But they get thousands of people watching.
I actually did one of those this last week for the FA Cup.
How many did you have? 2?
43.
No, as in all. How many at once did you have?
But you know what I did wrong?
What?
Is I streamed the game as well, which I totally forgot you're not supposed to do. So it was about 5 minutes left in the half, and somebody messaged me and said, "Why aren't you on streaming the game anymore?" And I looked at my Twitter feed and then at my Facebook feed, and it said that there had been a complaint from the Premier League that I was using their stuff without permission. So I got bumped off of it. So
well, obviously,
yeah. So that's I lost myself. You don't put the Premier League feed out. You can just have a video of you watching the game, and that's it.
But Charlie, I will say, so Charlie,
he does a good job.
We changed some show a bit, so he's challenged me, the host of Hammer Shots, to a grudge match. So on this coming Wednesday, I am going to crush Charlie Walsh. I mean, I'm going to show him for the lack of knowledge that he has, and I can't wait.
You know, talking about crushing, I've actually got a really, really good, knowledgeable guest for the penalty shot out that we're going to do in the next episode.
I'm sure it's some. They won't compare to me. It's probably Charlie. Is it Charlie?
No, it's not Charlie. I'll tell you what, he's bright though. I'll tell you that much.
I doubt it. Compared to the only way any of these mugs have a chance is if you cheat and give them answers.
I'm not going to cheat. In fact, I've actually got Rebecca coming up with the questions.
What, from a flipping COVID bed?
Yeah, from a COVID bed.
You're making her make questions up when she's sick. You bastard.
She's got all the ones that you turned down. So
actually, well, I mean, I'm just going to say one thing. You know, Rebecca, if you're listening to this, just turn off now. The episode's over for you. Okay.
Poor girl.
One thing I will say to you is you definitely want to check those questions because I'll be honest, she does like a mistake. She does like a mistake.
That's even more fun. So, but I tell you, this person's going to give you a run for your money, mate.
Well, I feel sorry for him because by the time I finish with him, they're going to be in a flood of tears somewhere. So,
Rebecca even beat you on the penalty shot out. So
Rebecca cheated me on the
pretend like that you're no cheating whatsoever.
Oh, blah blah blah. We don't need this bollocks
and she still has to host an episode. She still hasn't got round to doing that. You just don't like to lose, do you, mate? I know you don't like to lose.
Because I don't lose. I'm a winner.
You do. It's funny. I should someday read through all of the messages I've received from all of your friends from back home and say, it's so funny watching Adam freak out because he really does not like to lose. He never has.
Make up some messages as well.
Don't have to make them up. Yeah, I've even got one from your mum.
Wow. Well, before we start getting there.
Well, first of all, everyone go to Apple Podcasts and also, what's the one you listen on, mate?
Spotify.
And rate and review us. And,
give us a cheeky little rate and a cheeky little review.
Sounds good. What are you drinking anyway? Oh, you're still in that dry January, aren't you?
Yeah,
I'm going to take the last sip of my whiskey and water.
I was looking to see. The last review we had was December 28th. So I want to listen. I want to read this out. Actually, it's Germanot ... I guess there's more, but it doesn't show.
Is it on Spotify?
No, this is on Apple Podcasts. So his review was this, and we should have just done this in Social Shenanigans, my bad. But he said, as a Yank, I listen to every West Ham podcast and appreciate each one for their individual contributions to the fan base and community.
Of course, he's got no life.
Oh my God, Wayne! I mean, what the hell? You invite everybody and then slag them off.
Every podcast, even I don't listen to it. I listen to podcasts and I don't listen to every one of them.
I don't listen to any of them. The only one I listen to is this one because I need to know what the hell you've cheated and cut in that I haven't said. Anyway, thank you for listening, German Knot. I appreciate you, even if this bastard doesn't. To continue your review, these guys are ridiculous in the best way, and I look forward to every episode. I'm constantly asked, what's so funny when I'm laughing out loud with earbuds in? Unfortunately, it's too stupid to even attempt to explain to anyone. I hope to meet up with them at some point to watch a match or at least an event. Keep it up. Cheers.
Hey,
So,
do you know what? We got a review from Jamie Alafounder as well.
oh really?
Yeah, it says, I'm a hammer who moved to the north of England when I was 13. It's good to hear such an amazing podcast that you can laugh and agree with. Thank you, guys.
Oh, well, thanks. It's nice for us to massage our egos a little bit because clearly we need it.
Totally. Okay, then raise your glass of Diet Coke, mate, or Coke
All right.
Zero.
Stay positive. Love your lives.
Take care, everyone. Cheers.
Pretty bubbles in the air, they fly and so high. But my dreams they fade and die. Legends always hiding. I looked everywhere. I forever look bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. I forever look bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. I forever bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. They fly and so high. But my dreams they fade and die. Fortune's always hiding. I looked everywhere. I forever look bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air. I forever bubbles, pretty bubbles.